In a historic vote this past Saturday, the DNC finally voted to strip superdelegates of most of their power within the Democratic Party. Now, all throughout the weekend, people were talking about what a great move this is, and it is a great move. Superdelegates are highly undemocratic. I mean, just random people who at one point had power within the party who get to have an extra vote. And there's enough superdelegates that they easily could have swayed a close election one way or the other and completely ignored the will of the voters, the regular people who go out there, take time off work, and go vote. So they're getting rid of them, kind of. And that's the caveat here. They're not completely getting rid of the superdelegates. They're not stripping them of all of their power. They're just no longer allowed to vote on the first ballot that the DNC has when they're in their nomination process. Unless, of course, one candidate has so many votes that they're obviously going to win anyway, then the superdelegates can go ahead and vote on the first ballot. Doesn't really seem like they did much there, does it? I mean, maybe they can vote on the first ballot, maybe not, depending on if somebody got their math correct. I mean, this is a purely symbolic move by the DNC. It doesn't necessarily fix any of the problems that they had. This was just a bone they could throw out to some of the people who've been angry with the DNC and the way they're running things to try to give the appearance of doing something that actually matters. All they had to do in this vote was say, no more superdelegates. That's it. Those simple words, no more superdelegates. That's it. End of story. Then the nomination process comes down to who the voters picked, who won the majority, just as it should be. But these same people who are defending superdelegates within the Democratic Party are the same people railing against the Electoral College, which, yes, the Electoral College should be abolished, but so should superdelegates, because superdelegates have kind of become the Electoral College of the Democratic Party. And if they want to go one way, even though the voters went the other, they're free to do that because they have too much power and they shouldn't have any. If you truly want this to be a democratic process, someone who gets chosen by the voters and not by the powerful, then you have to take that extra step of stripping the superdelegates of all of their power and then getting rid of superdelegates altogether. This move by the DNC this past weekend is just a Band-Aid. It's just a means to show that these angry people with the DNC, hey, we did something for you. Look at this. We stripped the superdelegates of their power. That's what the headlines said everywhere. But the reality is far different. Superdelegates are still there. Superdelegates still get to vote. And there's a good chance that superdelegates could still sway a nomination process.